take you there. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a VeVe OMI update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I love you all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Ooh. We have a couple of things to go over today. What do we have here in the title? David suggests an AMA coming. There's the VeVe New York Comic Con booth. There's some OMI talk. All right, we'll go through. Let's see here. Where's this? Wednesday? Yeah, let's go into the Thursday here. Last week we had, a couple days ago, Dapper Labs is making some moves. NFL All Day rookie commons Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams going for solid prices. They're going to give away some NFTs at the games as well while adding some gamification. So love that for All Day. Love that for Flow. Hasn't really reflected too much in the price. And again, you see Flow and Dapper Labs doing a couple of these things. Again, obviously, I'm talking about them just because they're in that NFT market. Hasn't really affected the price. What will affect the price? What will turn this around? In a few minutes, we are going to have Crypto Rain come in. We are able to get a few minutes of his time today to be able to go over the markets and stuff like that, to go over the macro as well. Moving on here, we went over Definity. I'll have Manu, CEO of Definity, on Friday, so that'll be a good stream. We had Miss Deuce Geek. I think that's how you say it. Says Capcom has announced that after technical discussions with Microsoft, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is coming to Xbox One. So back in the day, you had, if anyone remembers those old bowling alleys where you'd put in like a quarter, it'd be Capcom. You put another quarter, like Capcom. And then it's like the old Marvel vs. Capcom game. For me, I had 3 different people on my team, as did everyone. I had Iron Man, I had Venom, and then I had War Machine. Now, that's kind of a cheat because Iron Man and War Machine are essentially the same character. They all have the proton cannon. They all have the different stuff. It was heckin' awesome. Anyway, I dominated with those guys. And normally it's like, okay, Chavez, why are you doing this? Well, we have Marvel and we have Capcom, and even David posted over on Instagram, hey, look at this, a Marvel vs. Capcom thing. Now, this would likely just be thrown away as just like, all right, he's just a fan. But when Miss Deuce Geek and David both do it at the same time, it does seem to be a little coordinated. It's just something that my conspiracy mind is throwing together there. Someone named... there was I don't know if I'll do the actual mint number, but there was a guy that had a partner statue. It was not a 3-digit number. It was a 4-digit partner statue. And I was like, hey, there's a buddy of mine that collects these particular mint numbers. You happen to have it. I know that the floor right now is like 1189. We'll give you 1275 for it. This way that you could just not only get above the floor, but buy another one as well. And he's like, listen, somebody just offered me like $2,000 for this, which I denied. I appreciate it, but just not looking to sell personally. And it's like, all right, so this person could have gotten almost double the amount of one. He could have gotten a partner statue to replace it, probably a lower mint partner statue, and would have had almost enough for another one, netting about $900 from it. I'd be like, you know what, I would have taken that. But other people didn't. So again, mint numbers. Some people don't care about them. Some people recognize the value, but it's just not their thing. But there's a lot to go over there. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 13. This was the first appearance of Mysterio. That had we had gotten a sellout in like a minute. It didn't take several minutes. It just took like a minute. It didn't make that much. How much is, it's like really small amount. Like $21,000, relatively small. The reason why I was excited about this is because it is first appearance of Mysterio. It is a key comic. It does have that nice solid first appearance in there. Mysterio is known, he wasn't brought into the MCU until like late, like up until Spider-Man 2. And the reason why we had him at all is just because in the comics he's a beast. I forget who does it, but somebody takes control of like the villains and so like, hey, we're just fighting the wrong guys. What we need to do is make sure that these heroes don't expect it, and they're fighting villains that can beat them. So Mysterio goes in, messes up Wolverine's mind, and Wolverine goes in, and kills like all of the X-Men. He thinks he's killing like the Kree, or he thinks he's killing some random villain, but he's actually killing the X-Men, and it's because of Mysterio. Because if it was anyone else that had like transformative powers, Wolverine would be able to like smell it. He'd be able to do that. But obviously, with Mysterio, he was able to go in and fool everything, which was just bananas. We have Televisitor, or at Things Abound over on X, saying, "Hey, community manager, my collectibles. It'd be great to have the AMAs with David Yu again, and it'd also be great to hear how VeVe Official plans to get more users onto the platform. We OG VeVe collectors are still happy collecting, but we miss the interaction." And David Yu goes and just gives the okay voice, as in he's like, "Hey," and that's the thumbnail of this video, suggesting that an AMA is coming. Another thing after that is we have a look at Immutable X data. So the VeVe data, we have people that are now able to identify Immutable X tokens, even if they don't have the metadata. And there are two direct consequences from this. Ralph says, "Randy, we need OMI to moon. Times are frustrating." I understand 100%. I have more OMI than most people out there. So we are all in that same boat. Some boats are bigger, some boats are smaller, but that's something that we will address when Rain gets here in the next couple minutes. I will just finish this thought. Token Hunter can now find any token that has been minted, and the wallet analyzer in a user's profile will be much more accurate going forward. This also unlocks an idea that they've had for a long time. Next, we'll be working on bringing back the list of current listings for collectibles via the Listing Explorer. Note, if Token Hunter tells you that an unknown error occurred, it's likely because the token hasn't been minted yet, or it was minted recently and hasn't updated data yet. The error message will be updated in the next version of the app. That's for people that have that Token Hunter mint app. Anyway, speaking of Ralph saying, "Randy, we need OMI to moon. Times are frustrating." It's times like these when I think you have to be cautious the most. This is the most yellow light thing that we could think of, because in poker, and I'll ask Tammy Hanna about this to explain it. In poker, you have people that have plans, and they go in and they say, "Hey, I'm only going to play these hands. I'm only going to play the hands where I know I have top pair. I know I have the best hand." But then stuff happens on the river, stuff happens on the turn, and you get hecked. And that's when people make mistakes, when they get frustrated and angry and they double down when they shouldn't. And to talk further about this, I have my good friend, Crypto Rain. How's it going, brother?
Good. What's going on, Randy?
I'm doing all right. I'm chilling. I'm vibing. Going over some VeVe news here. But over in the macro, we have some crazy stuff happening. We have China just had a level 5 typhoon going on, so their government's going to be dealing with that a while. That's going to have different consequences over in the macro. And speaking of the macro, we have Ralph saying, "Randy, we need OMI to moon. Times are frustrating." So obviously the language that he chose, saying we need it to moon, as in some people kind of just put their entire hopes and dreams in this, where obviously it should be just looked at, I think, as more of like an investment. I've always told people to never go all in on one thing, because that is a very dangerous game that does not always work out. But for this, when people say OMI needs to moon and times are frustrating, it reminds me of that quote that says, "Tough times never last, but tough people do." Can you give me insight, because you've been through a couple of bear and bull markets, on how to play the waiting game and how to do it where you're not thinking about it and taking up too much mental real estate?
That's a great saying that you just shared there. Tough times never last, but tough people do. So I do get worried for people when I hear, "I need ... to happen." That means they feel like their hands are getting tired and they're holding on, their grip is loosening, they're about to let go. It's probably going to take longer than you think it's going to take and that it needs to take. That's just how markets are. And, it'll probably happen like 3 months after you give up, if you do give up. And I've seen people in crypto since I came in 2017. But before I even came into crypto, I was watching this type of thing happen in real estate markets and other markets, because the same thing happens, the same mentality. I need the market to turn around. I need it to go up. I need it to do this. And most people that get into real estate or they get into other things, they're just new and they're bad before they're good. you hear the stories of people that made these great fortunes in real estate. What you don't hear is the 95% of people that lost a whole bunch of money in it. They don't share those stories near as much. And so the same thing happens in crypto. And when I hear people say, I need XYZ token to go up, just know like it's going to go up when the market is ready for that. And it probably won't be kicked off till Bitcoin starts going crazy. And it's still not going to happen then. Bitcoin will go crazy, and that will start getting attention to Bitcoin and crypto in general. And the money will start flowing there, which is going to even augment the pressure on you more than you even realize. Why? Because Bitcoin will be going up and OMI still won't be. You're going to be tempted. You're going to be tempted, oh my gosh, my money would be doing so much better in Bitcoin or whatever else. And you're going to be pressured to sell OMI and roll it into where the action is. And it may go well for you, but the chances are way against you. Now, the reason why I don't just sell my OMI now, put it in Bitcoin and wait for that event to happen, because when altcoins do moon, they moon so fast and they'll go 20x in a heartbeat. And so say you put that money in Bitcoin and Bitcoin does go up. Say if you catch that Bitcoin ride late and you buy in at, say, 100,000, because that's where all the action is, and you ride it to 150, and then finally OMI moons and OMI goes up in 10x's, did you get ahead at all? No, you lost massive, massive traction. So that's why I don't take that trade. Now, unfortunately, I know about that pattern because I did that in the past. And, touched this hot stove once. Well, I try to learn from it. There's a few things that I've touched the hot stove twice, but I never touched the hot stove a third time. I just play where the odds are. So I have my bags packed on OMI, and I'm just patiently waiting, knowing it could take 3 months, could take 6 months, it could take 18 months. It's probably not going to take 18 months. Is it guaranteed to run? Well, there are no guarantees in life in general. It's as good of a bet as you can usually ever find in investing. So that's why I'm so heavy in OMI. Usually the odds in business investing, it is always risky, and rarely in life have I ever found odds as good as what I like in OMI by my own projections. And so that's why I'm so huge in OMI and continue to stack it. And my timeline could be 5 years, but I'll be shocked if it doesn't do a major, major, major move in the next 18 months. I'll be dumbfounded.
Agreed. Rouse says we need more communication. David answers, he answered that, he alluded that we might be doing an AMA soon. This is not unique to VeVe. It's not the first time that a company is relatively radio silent while they're building. It's the first time a lot of these people are seeing it just because they've never been investing before or they've never been in gaming. Can you recall other times that companies have done this and been okay? Video games to me come to mind where they don't. Like GTA,
this
right
is
now.
almost every project. OMI communicates, and VeVe communicates through their communication manager as much as you ever find in a crypto project. So there's actually probably more communication than you almost ever get from a crypto project. Almost. Maybe there's a few exceptions that are even more, but that's why they brought in like community managers for both VeVe and OMI, and those communication managers do a lot of communication. So do you wish you got more? Well, isn't that the case? Don't we always wish as investors we got more communication? Don't we wish we got invited to the meetings, can hear everything going on in the meetings? I always wish that as an investor, I could make way more informed decisions if I knew everything that was going on. That expectation just isn't realistic. So OMI is communicating as much as you ever find. Maybe there's a few that communicate even more. Great. I'm not dissatisfied at all with their communication level. It's quite high.
Agreed. We even have the Foster posting a sentiment. I guess he did with Google, with all the socials across Reddit, X, Facebook, YouTube, just the sentiment. And it was about 70% positive and 30% negative. And you had someone named Homie Dan saying, how can you say that sentiment continues to grow? Doesn't take an analyst to realize how shit sentiment is by looking at X. Father says, speak to your own personal feed or opinion on what you see on X, but the chart I shared measures sentiment on socials for all posts related to Ecomi. Might be worth expanding social circles. There's a lot of positivity out there. I feel like a lot of people do get caught in those fish bowls and those echo chambers about negativity. There's FUD spaces every now and then as well. Is it possible for Moon Boys to also get caught in that same fishbowl, in that same echo chamber? And how do we recognize when we're in it?
Well, what a lot of people mistake is that OMI somehow needs to turn around sentiment. What will turn around sentiment is the crypto space popping off. And all of a sudden the token price will go great. All Ecomi and VeVe need to do is keep growing their company, providing top level digital collectibles that people will want to buy, continue getting the top intellectual property deals out there. Just keep doing that. Grow the VeVe apps capabilities, because when crypto pops off, the users are going to come in massive waves that VeVe won't even be able to keep up with the servers. And then you'll have people complaining, oh my gosh, how were they not prepared for this? Blah, 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 blah. Why? Because like this is just how it happens in technology. So especially in the crypto space where this massive influx comes once every 4 years and nobody's quite prepared for it, even though they kind of suspect it's coming, all of a sudden the growth just goes crazy. And then there's stuff to complain about on that side. Oh my gosh, how didn't they see this happen? Okay, the token just went 50x, but ... complaint. Why? Because we're human beings, and it's like it's easy to look from the sidelines and backseat drive and say all the things they could be doing better. Overall, I'd say VeVe as a company is doing a pretty dang good job. David as a person is doing a completely remarkable job, in my opinion. The number one thing I need VeVe to do above everything else is getting the top deals out there with the top brands. Nobody in the world in the digital collectible space has delivered more on that than David Yu. The second thing I want them to do is have an app that's cool. I think so far, like their app is really, really cool, and they've made significant improvements to it over the last 2 years. Significant. And they continue to expand it. So I'm quite happy with the app too. So the top two things I need them to crush it on, they're crushing it on. So like, I'm really happy. Sure, I know patience. It did help that I came from the real estate market where it has such a longer cycle that crypto is short compared to that by a ton. Now, 4 years isn't very long to wait. Oh, but if you're watching things every day, it feels like a very long time. But here's the problem with investments. You cannot let your feelings run things for you. They will take you the wrong way. They will make you sell at the bottom when sentiment is the lowest. Well, I think sentiment is the lowest. If you look at the charts, every time, so whatever token, you go to Cardano, you go to Tron, you go to whatever project, go to Ecomi. When was it lower than it is today? Oh, last bear market or early bull market before it popped off. Well, what was the sentiment back then? Well, the sentiment was in the tank too. So literally, that's your indication to buy and not to sell. Why? Because the price is only low when sentiment is in the tank. Sentiment's never high when the price is that low. It just isn't. And so if you sell when sentiment is low and you buy when sentiment is high, you're actually doing it backwards and it goes poorly for you. Now, be comforted that this is what 90% of people do in crypto. And that's why 90% of people lose money in crypto. So just know when you do it, you can look around and see everyone else is doing it too. And if that's what you need in your life, great. That's not what I need in my life. I'm here for massive returns, and massive returns happen by counter trading that. Now, you can't just buy any project that the sentiment is low on. That's when you got to research and be like, okay, this is a team that's really strong, and this is a company that's building something in a narrative that makes sense in the blockchain space. And so then you're taking a bet on that company, hopefully while sentiment is low, because that means price is low. And then when sentiment goes high and price goes high, that's when you sell.
So I've been after a couple initial purchases at like 005, 007. When I went down to 002, it was like, okay, this is less than half of the price of what I paid. I'm gonna get some more. Same thing at 001, and then now in the triple zeros. Omar saying I need OMI at 0003, but it might not happen. Agreed, it might not. We
I
wish it would.
like the way Omar thinks.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a smart
He
dude.
thinks about it right.
So in the end, if you're somebody that has been continuously dollar cost averaging and buying at 0009 and 0006, and now it's around 0004, what is the incentive to keep buying if it keeps going down? What do you say to those people that are just tired of buying the dip because it keeps dipping?
Well, the chances are you're going to massively regret it later if you don't keep buying. I understand the frustration, the exhaustion. I get it. Will you likely regret it later? Oh, yes, you will. But
Nice.
you got to make your decision for yourself. Like last bear market, say if you go back in time in the bear market and you could buy Cardano at 11 cents, would you? Now it later went to $3.30 or $3.40. Would you buy at 11 cents? It's a pretty good deal. Did it get better than that? Oh yeah, it did. It went to 9 cents and then went to 7 cents. And then it went to 5 cents, then it went to 3 cents. Then it even ever so briefly went to 1.7 cents. Now, if I had had a magic crystal ball and knew it was going to go to 1.7 cents, I never would have started buying at 11 cents. But was 11 cents a bad deal? Not at all. It went 30x from there. But 9 cents was a better deal. And 7 cents was an even better deal. And 3 cents was a gift from the heavens. And for those that bought it that day, it wicked down to 1.7 cents. That was the biggest gift from the heavens that many people didn't take advantage of. In fact, a bunch of people sold that day. Did they regret it? Oh, yeah. They're not even around today. Why? They cannot. They have to find somebody else to blame as to why they sold that day rather than themselves. And so they end up leaving crypto rather than being like, crap, I learned a good lesson there.
Moving on towards the macro a little bit, you have Elon Musk says he's looking forward to serving America if the opportunity arises. Him and Trump will create something called the Department of Government Efficiency, known as Doge, and he'll do something along those lines. Now, that would be great. I am all for that. But there is another scenario that might happen. What happens if Kamala and the Dems, which seem very anti-crypto, what happens if they win? What happens to OMI and crypto at large? Are we fighting a losing battle at that point?
Well, Argentina has gone, or prior to the current president, went very anti-crypto. So has Turkey as a country. So has like a few other countries. And guess how crypto is done in those countries? Even better. So now the US has more power, and they'll be trying to close down all the banking on-ramps and off-ramps into crypto. They'll be trying, and it will take them a while, and they'll get a lot of pushback. They might not even be able to be successful. So if Kamala wins, crypto is going to do really well for very different reasons than if Trump wins. If Kamala wins, it's because people fear that the dollar is going to spiral out of control even faster, that they're just going to print their way out of problems even more, and that the dollar will devalue, kind of like what it's been doing under Kamala as vice president. The dollar's been devaluing like crazy. So that would be the bigger fear, and the reason why money's going to flow to crypto, even though it will get harder. If Trump wins, I do think you'll have an even bigger bull run than if Kamala ran. It would be for different reasons. It would be because the U.S., which has 70% of the money to invest in crypto, will get unlocked, and all those barriers to entry that are thrown up to keep U.S. funds out will probably get taken down. And so I imagine that we will have a super cycle if Trump wins. Otherwise, we'll have a normal, great bull run, but a super cycle if Trump wins.
That'd be great. I'd love that. Hopefully we can get some type of really big person. I mean, we had Blackpink. I think they have more followers than almost anyone else on earth. They all posted about it on their Instagram, even a few on TikTok. And that's something that Lisa charges like $500,000 or 600,000 per sponsored post. And they did it all for VeVe, I think, for free. It's part of the deal. And again, it didn't really move the needle. I mean, if that doesn't move it, what does?
Yet. So keep in mind that things don't always run when you want them to. They run when the greater market cycle is ready, and it's helpful to have these things in place beforehand. So I learned there was a psychological study that people aren't ready to accept new information till it's been passed by them 7 different times. And so think about that. So Blackpink's audience heard about crypto and NFTs then. Did it push them towards adoption? Yes. Did it push them across the line to adoption? Only a few of them. The ones that had already been primed and had multiple exposures and were almost there, it pushed them across the line. So what happened with Blackpink is not a bad thing. It's an amazing thing. But people are expecting too much out of it. That some major brand like Blackpink joins VeVe and all of a sudden 10 million people come into crypto. Well, that didn't happen. But did it move 10 million or 100 million people more towards digital collectibles? That's what I think happened.
Good call. Crypto MF saying, where can I buy OMI for the first time in the US? I would say for me, I always do it on Coinbase wallet, get some ETH on there, put it on Base, and then swap it for OMI. Foster Hill has some videos on that. But I think you can do it if you have VPN for MEXC and Gate.io, right?
You would have to find a way to KYC on those. And you won't be able to in the US unless you get a Palau ID. And that works for now. Who knows if that door will get closed in the future. If Trump is president, I imagine in the future the SEC gets massively curtailed and doesn't go after exchanges anymore. And all of a sudden the exchanges open their doors to US people because they want that money. They hate that they have to go the route that they have to go, but they're just scared of the SEC's arbitrariness, which they're arbitrary and capricious, as said by a judge.
Yeah. On the New York Comic Con front, that is next month. VeVe is booth 3327. You had gotten press passes for San Diego. Did you also get that for New York?
I haven't checked lately to see, like, they didn't send me my press pass validation till like 2 months prior to San Diego. So I've just got to check and make sure, but I should. When you get accepted, it should go for both, at least the first year. We'll see.
Yeah. That would be great.
With it comes a lot of responsibility for coverage, which was cool. I don't know if I'll continue applying for the press pass, but because my time, I just deem it super valuable. So going and doing tons of extra video there, I don't know. But it was fun, the Comic-Con, and I really enjoyed it. And the press pass was cool, and I enjoyed going and getting some extra footage. In the future, we'll have to see.
That was great. I'll be there Wednesday before the con. I'll be there Thursday and Friday. I think I might have to leave on Saturday, though, for the day, and then come back on Sunday. Are you there all weekend?
I don't remember. I don't have my planner with me, and we've got the tickets booked. I just don't remember what days it is.
Yeah. Moving on. Binance has a fixed rate loan now, where you can be able to take some of your crypto and you'd be able to collateralize it. I don't know what their loan to value is. They didn't say in their initial announcement, but figure it's somewhere in between 60 and 70%. You have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now you can go on and borrow against it via Binance, and then you can buy more crypto. You can do whatever you want. Is that something that you would do in the future?
I don't want to do that. Crypto is too volatile for that. It's best to borrow against assets that are far less volatile, because you can get wicked out of that position like that.
That's true.
And it might go right back up after. And so unless you have it bumpered, that's something that Bumper provides, some downside protection, that like they haven't gotten massive traction yet, but what they're doing could change the DeFi world, in fact, the financial world. So I hope they do get some massive traction, because what they're doing is pretty revolutionary. And then
Yeah.
you could take out a protected position, then borrow against those funds, and then you have no risk of liquidation. So go bumper, because that I would do.
Great. Steven Duarte says, I think I finally figured out why Rain wears glasses on stream. He makes so much money on crypto, he can afford to use award show lighting in his house and actually needs glasses to see. Well played. That was awesome.
Actually, yeah, when I'm back in my studio, my lights totally blind me. So they don't totally blind me, but they hurt after a while. If I don't have
Yeah,
my glasses on, an hour stream wears me out.
I feel you. So we have Binance also. All right, so went over Binance. U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF saw 211 million in outflows on the 6th, extending the streak of negative flows. You have the Fed that's dropping rates in a couple weeks. You have, ETFs that are out there. We're several months past the halving. Why is Bitcoin going down? Why are we at like 3 and 4 month lows despite everything good that's coming and has already happened?
This is a little trick that the whales play. So a lot of people go long because they know that Bitcoin is probably going to go up in the coming month, especially in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start going long, and people that have massive money see all those longs, and they can take that money by wicking it down. So what they do is they take out short positions, and then they dump massively, which cascades. It liquidates some longs, which then it cascades down, and so they wick out and take the money on all those longs, and then it's ready to run. So Paul often looks at the charts, and there will be a big, what he calls a stake in the ground before things run up. And I've seen that time and time again where okay, from here, Bitcoin should be set to run up. There's often this stake in the ground with the price action that wicks down pretty strongly before it then runs.
Great. Crypto MFA, whencrypto.com. That'd be nice. I don't know. Omility is kind of asking a leading question here, saying, Randy, when did you find out OMI wasn't getting any of the big exchanges this year? It sounds like a leading question, attempting to get some info out of me. One, I don't know why people think I have that. I don't work for the company. I don't have any NDAs. And two, I have no idea what or if any exchanges are coming this year, or if they're not, if they are. Brain, has any of the macro regulatory framework made it so that the US is a little bit more friendly to crypto in the last couple months that I haven't noticed?
No, Gary Gensler's still very anti-crypto. Him and whatever forces are, he's just a dog on a leash. Who's holding the leash is probably Elizabeth Warren or something. And they're still going after different crypto companies. They went after, what is it, for trading NFTs, they went after OpenSea and stuff. So exchanges are still going to be somewhat cautious. Now, Coinbase had a partial settlement on some of their stuff, and the SEC backed off on claiming some of the things were security. So that was a big win. But the SEC is still not crypto friendly. Whoever is behind this anti-crypto, no, we're going to shut all the gates and close all the doors. And they're still absolutely operating under that. They're trying to close off U.S. funds to crypto and put a walled garden that U.S. people can't invest in that. And maybe it's to protect the banks. Maybe that's really who's controlling the politicians who are then holding Gary Gensler's leash, but somebody is. They're also still doing Operation Choke Point 2.0, which is trying to get banks not to allow you to send money to Coinbase, and trying to punish banks that don't abide by that. So they're still very anti-crypto. And under Kamala, it's still going to be the same thing.
Agreed. Shout out to Maxwell, saying beer money. Yeah, right.
What's up?
So the SEC has been pretty egregious at a couple things. And to Goldman Sachs, egregious means two things in particular. Projects that either hinted at some sort of return on investment when first marketing their NFTs, or projects that promise utility in the form of a team of people who are going to work to increase a collection's brand or IP value. So if a team working on utility to increase the value of NFT, pretty much true for most NFT companies except for VeVe that have never done something like that. Do you think because of this, VeVe is in the clear?
Well, that's what arbitrary and capricious the concern is, right?
No.
So it's hard to tell if you're in the clear because the judge said that they have been arbitrary and capricious, which means selective enforcement, which is surely true. They didn't have any problems with Sam Bankman-Fried, who turned out to be one of the biggest fraudsters in the space.
No.
And I had heard that Gary Gensler met with him 13 separate times, like twice officially and a whole bunch of times unofficially. So do they really have problems with the bad actors? Well, they probably have problems with the bad actors who aren't donating to the right people. And whoever those right people are, I don't know, just look at the list of who Sam Bankman-Fried was donating to, and that would tell you who the quote unquote right people are. That's what I'm concerned with. And most of the crypto space doesn't donate to politicians in general, although they did start about 3 years ago. They realized, oh my gosh, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're what's on the menu.
No.
And so they've put together like a huge PAC. And so there's a huge crypto super PAC backing Trump because they know he's going to be pro crypto. And there's a little bit of crypto funds that are trying to convince themselves that Kamala is somehow like going to be helpful to crypto. Probably should be helpful to those specific projects only.
I feel you. Moving on here, we have, oh no, that was.
So should VeVe be in the clear? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know that they give politically at all. They're just doing their thing and trying to create a big project. But like, it's pretty silly them going after NFTs because, oh my gosh, they said they're working hard to provide value so that the value of the collection might go up. Okay, so does that mean artists need to get investigated by the SEC because they're working hard to increase the value of their brand so the paintings that they paint go up in value? That's the same argument. What's the difference?
Agreed. I mean, hopefully in this we get that a lot of startups that did raise money with NFTs are persecuted and VeVe gets left alone because, again, it seems to be true with other companies and not VeVe.
VeVe's been a lot more careful than a lot of the other projects. So hopefully that protects them, though they have bigger exposure than most of the projects. So as they really start looking at NFTs, VeVe's got some of the biggest exposure in the digital collectible space. So hopefully that's fine. Like, do I think they would lose a lawsuit with the SEC? No, I don't think they would. Would it create legal fees that I would prefer they didn't have to go through? Yes.
Agreed. So Courtyard.io is selling packs of graded cards. So you have one slab per pack. And they do put the odds at the bottom of the expected value, saying 65% chance you lose money right there in plain English. VeVe does something relatively similar, and they say, like for today's drop, for the Happy Tree friends, they go and they post, you have a 1 in 9 chance of getting the ultra rare, or a 1 in 4 chance of getting uncommon, or 1 in 2 of getting the uncommon, whatever that is. If VeVe offered repackaged NFTs, including one of everything available for 50 gems, how many people do you think would go and chase those packs, hopefully getting a Donnie or a partner statue or something like that? But then they could also just get a comic that's worth, $1.
So by repackaged NFTs, are they buying them off the market to have? Because how would they have Donnies unless they sold one of the few that they kept at the beginning?
Yeah, it would be one of the few that were kept at the beginning.
Okay, and then they kind of create a global blind box that it could be a Donnie, it could be a Todd McFarlane Batman, it could be an.
Because if they rebought their own product, I think that's eligible for securities laws, right?
I don't know. On that question, but like, it is a riskier thing, right? I do like that they give you the chances of getting a secret rare rather than you have a 65% chance of losing money. I would be more scared about that statement under the current SEC than this is what your odds of getting a secret rare, because they're not necessarily assigning a monetary value to what a secret rare is. Because, like, yeah, if you get a secret rare, you can often make money, but they're not saying whether you would make money or not. So,
good point. So we have I noticed the other day after I bought a ton of Aliens vs. Avengers comic that I had like 3,000 points and I was still Diamond 1. And then there was another person that messaged me, said that he noticed his MCP rank had fallen, despite being having the most daily points that he's ever generated. So it does look like, based off of those two factors, that people are stacking, and it's really hard to become master collector. Do you see this as well?
Yeah, so some people with big money are coming into VeVe, and I don't know who they are. You can see, I mean, now that we have access to metrics, you can see it on Stacker. But like these people coming in, buying up these huge collections with names that we've not heard of, that tells you that some big money is silently coming in and they realize what's coming. I don't know who told them about it and stuff. Maybe they secretly watch the channels. Maybe some friend that's a whale, like maybe it's Andre Jick telling them, hey, bro, wake up, or Pro the Doge or somebody, right? Saying, hey, look, you got to check out VeVe. I know I'm not covering it much on my channel right now. That's because like it doesn't pay to cover undervalued gems on YouTube. Why? Because nobody is searching for them. You think, yeah, but you could just say undervalued gems and people watch the video a little bit. There's a tiny bit of that. But the truth is, the majority of people want to look to the left and the right and see that everybody else is already doing it. So you take a credibility hit in the short term when you're truly covering an undervalued gem. Like when I covered the VeVe's app back in March of 2020 or 2021, half my audience was super pissed. I was talking about the Todd McFarlane Batman. I was said like, this thing is going to do incredible. Half my audience got pissed and like a whole bunch of people unsubscribed. They told me they're never going to watch my videos again because I needed to get back to covering the real crypto projects, the interesting crypto projects. I don't know. Todd McFarlane Batman went from 80 gems to 16,000 gems. That's interesting to me. But when you're covering undiscovered gems, you take a credibility hit. So like Andre Jick is not covering VeVe right now, but don't think that doesn't mean he doesn't want to. Just for his channel growth, it's important that he waits because that's his goal, is to get as big of an audience as possible. Wait till like everybody's doing it, and then he'll cover it a bunch, which will augment how much it grows when it does.
Agreed. My Collectibles had posted the other day, in one sentence, please share what you loved most about collecting VeVe digital comics. This is for research purposes. You've often said that digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles. Can you expand on that for comics?
Yeah, so in many ways, not in every way. The cool thing about physical collectibles is it's nice to be able to touch it, hold it, play with it. Like if it's an action figure, like say you have a Storm Shadow, like an original G.I. Joe Storm Shadow, like they're cool. And you can like pose it, you can put it up on your desk or wherever on your showcase and actually look at it every day physically. That has a value to it. But in every other way, digital collectibles are superior because you have access to an instantaneous marketplace that you can sell anywhere in the world. Try selling your Storm Shadow that you opened up on the market. Well, first you got to like take really good pictures of it. Then you got to put it on eBay. They may want you to authenticate it, send it off to a grading company because, you know, they want to make sure your kids didn't play with it and let the dog get a hold of it and put some teeth marks somewhere on it. And so you got to get it graded. You then have to ship it. And oh my gosh, you know, the buyer is in Iran and you'll never be able to ship it to Iran. So therefore you can't sell it to them. Darn it. Whereas in crypto, like digital, you just put it on the market and somebody in the other end of the earth could buy it. And there's no shipping costs. It transfers almost instantaneously. So in all those other ways, digital collectibles are superior. And that's why digital collecting is going to go huge in the future, whether people realize it now or not.
Agreed. We have Crypto MF saying, I just downloaded Coinbase wallet. Is that where I can get Ecomi? Yes. What I do is I put some ETH on there. I bridge that to Base. And then I buy Ecomi on the Base network. It's a lot cheaper fees, cheaper gas. And again, that's the easiest way I know how to do it. Mint77 is up for auction. But yeah, that's what we got. Anyway, moving on here. We have a So the Happy Tree Friends. So you typically, I know you're mostly in crypto. What would make you go in and start collecting on drops again?
Well, if OMI goes up 10x from here, well, then it's no longer this massive undervalued thing. If
Right.
say, yeah, so part of the problem is like opportunity cost. When OMI gets super, super cheap and like on drops, this is the initial price that you're buying at. So your only way that you do well on drops is if you happen to get a secret rare, because most of the time the common and uncommons, and even sometimes the rare and ultra rares go for less than what the drop price is. So the only way you make money in initial is if you happen to get a secret rare, and your chances aren't very good at that. And that's just making money initially, because like none of the stuff that I buy right away am I selling right away. I'm waiting. But so I usually will wait till something is out on the app for over 3 or 4 months, and everyone starts forgetting about it before I pick up a bunch more, because I like to buy as cheap as possible. And so I don't often buy the new hype thing unless I want what I call a virgin mint, which is nobody else has held it. And so there will possibly be some value of that in the future, that maybe on really important items, the fewer different owners it's had may have some extra value to it when there have been almost no extra owners. Or perhaps you happen to have one that, say, somebody super famous in the space once owned, like, oh my gosh, the real Randy Chavez once owned this. So the floor on it, is $12,000, but this one's going for 17,000, because you can look in the history and see that this alligator Loki used to be owned by the real Randy Chavez.
Preach. There's somebody that bought, I think earlier today, I think it's a CryptoPunk, an NFT for $568,000. Now, obviously, to me, this looks like money laundering. To me, it looks like someone that is just buying something either to launder it, to claim a loss on something. Because
That
realistically, you'd want to buy something other
that
than
is
a.
an alien one. That green color on it, I think, means it's an alien, which increases the value of it tremendously because of scarcity.
So,
But maybe
so
it is money laundering. I haven't followed what their prices are going for, but the alien ones go for a lot more than
okay,
normal.
so it's possible that this could be a real sale. All right, play those dominoes out. Say that is a real sale. You've had a lot of money going to NFTs over the last week. They slowly coming back. What's that catalyst? What's that spark that sets off the powder keg that gets everyone into us?
I'm not quite sure. What is the spark that set off the meme coin powder keg run?
I don't know.
I can't say I know what really kicked it off, but then people chase green candles. So I don't know what specifically will start the NFT run itself, which is somewhat different. The timing happened differently, at least last time, between NFTs and VeVe's digital collectibles. Like there was some distance between the two runs. So I'm not quite sure what will spark it. But when it does really start running, then everybody chases into it.
Agreed. On the other end, let's say this was some type of money laundering. I feel like that's one of those things that maybe VV doesn't need, but that regardless of what the third party is doing, if that's going into VV and sales are happening, they're still getting that 2.5%. And I'm not saying I welcome any of the nefarious people that are doing that, but things that can easily get manipulated, like scarce collectibles, that's something that money goes into a lot. And again, I'm not here and trying to advocate for that, but if you want to go in and have that, I feel, how much do you think that would help or hurt VV, having the people, not necessarily money launderers, but those types of people come in to try to manipulate and bring in all their money with them?
Yeah, we don't love that, but they have pretty good KYC now. So a lot of the money launderers and manipulators are going to go for where KYC is the lightest. I mean, I think people still have access to Tornado Cash, even though the person who wrote the code was arrested. And though I don't know, because I haven't used Tornado Cash, but um, so I just think they'll probably go another route, is my guess, because you won't be able to off ramp gems without KYC. Maybe there's some avenues they find some kind of weakness and go after it. And then it's kind of a PR hit. I almost wish, like, a lot of the KYC stuff came about because of this whole, like, oh my gosh, money laundering since September 11th, 2001. It's like, oh my gosh, we got to stop terrorism and we need to put all these regulations so every bank around the world knows who the customer is, so no money laundering can happen to fund terrorism. But really what it was we want to know where all the dollars are so we can make sure we get taxes on it. And so that we can shut down any money that doesn't go well. And so, so if you go to a truckers rally in Canada and the Prime Minister of Canada deems that, like, he didn't like that and he deems it a terrorist event, so he can shut down grandma's bank accounts because of, like, the controls that came about because of September 11th, 2001. And so I don't think those controls are a good thing. I think it massively gets abused by the governments running around with the auspices of, oh my gosh, it could go to funding terrorism. You know that the US under Obama gave Iran like $9 billion. What do you think that $9 billion went to? So are they really that concerned about funding terrorism? I think Biden gave them billions of dollars too. What do you think that money went to? So are they really concerned about funding terrorism? No, they're funding terrorism. They're just concerned about, like, control. And it's all about control and, like, not only knowing where the money is, but being able to shut off your on and off ramps and shut down your accounts. They would love to get to the point where if you said something they didn't like, they could just flip the switch on you. There's some protections in Canada, there's more protection in the US, but only some, as we saw during the truckers rally, like 3 years ago or whenever that was.
Yeah.
My friend's grandma had her account shut down because she sent $50 to the truckers rally thing.
Oh my God.
It was ridiculous, right? And she couldn't pay her power bill in the middle of the effing winter.
Oh, that's yeah, I feel like a lot of the world is going really crazy, especially like the UK, where you have, I won't even say what type of people they are, but I'm guessing everyone can probably guess. They would commit acts of violence and SA, and they would get a very small amount of jail time, if any at all. And the people that would say, oh, this is wrong, they should get more jail time, are getting more jail time just for saying that, like, SA is wrong and being violent is wrong. That is wild. Yeah, that's why I think a lot of people lean towards Trump and to Elon Musk for keeping
free speech. Yeah, and you have countries that are trying to put Elon Musk in jail. I don't know how it goes for Elon Musk in the US if Kamala wins the election. Boy, he is enemy number 2. After Trump will still be enemy number 1, but Elon Musk will be public enemy number 2 on their books. And they will use the full force of the government to go after Elon Musk, just like they have with Trump.
She'll try to go in and shut down the Truth Social. She'll try to go in and shut down X, claiming that it's misinformation and it's bullying. But I mean, heck, look, I feel, and not that I advocate for bullying, but do you know who Nico Avocado is?
Mm-mm.
He's a YouTuber that used to do those, I forget what they were called, the binge eating ones that you go in and watch somebody eat for like 20 minutes and they demolish like a whole cheesecake. He was like 150, 170 pounds or whatever. And then he started doing these things. Mukbang is what they were called. And then he gained like 250 pounds. Like, he blew up, like, and because people were watching him, like, they were watching him go and eat all these things, and he was making hundreds of thousands, not millions per year. But then, he stopped making videos a while because people, like, the overwhelming majority of his comments were just like, eat a salad, like, you fat mother effer. And like, and it seemed pretty horrible, but he posted a video literally today and he like lost like 240 pounds. It's like, oh, okay, maybe sometimes bullying works. Hate that I said that. Is that something that some things need to be said?
Well, when you try to create a space free of bullying in the world, you create weak people. So bullying, for some reason, is innate in some of humanity, and you cannot actually create a space free of bullying. And when that becomes the goal, they bully in other ways to get rid of bullying. So you still don't remove it. You just create bigger unintended consequences. So do I like bullying? No. There are some, like sometimes people, bullying kind of reinforces actually positive behaviors if you think about it. Is it done in a healthy way? No, it's not healthy. And it sometimes breaks people's mental state when they get bullied really bad, and it does long-term damage that if they work on themselves, they can fix. But it's not good. But what gets bullied? Often behavior that's outside the norm. So if you get really fat, that gets bullied. If you look really ugly, that often gets bullied. If you're really socially awkward, that gets bullied. Is it a healthy thing to do? No. I've thought about this problem a lot. I got bullied as a kid. You know what I did because I did not like being bullied by kids?
What?
I took karate for 2 years.
Oh, nice.
That ended the bullying. So like it was crazy. And after a few fights, I didn't even have to fight anymore because I walked more confidently, and people are like, oh, if I mess with him, there will be consequences. And before, they felt if I mess with him, there won't be consequences. There were. I just let them go on for too long before there were serious consequences. And so the bullies thought they could get away with it until all of a sudden they couldn't, and they were caught off guard. Later on, as I became more confident, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't think I want to mess with this kid. So, like, that's all it's bullying, but that took individual responsibility. And I am a strong advocate for individual responsibility, because if you're trying to make the world fair, it's not going to happen. The world is very unfair. What you can do is take control and accept responsibility on your end for making yourself better, so the world is more fair to you. And so that's what makes people strong, right? That's what makes, the truth is, like, most people lose money in crypto investing. How do you get good so you're part of the 5% that crushes it? Well, you have to get good. And the only way you get good is by taking full responsibility for every choice you make, when it goes bad and when it goes good. And when it goes bad, you don't blame, oh my gosh, Crypto Rain told me about this project, or Randy told me about this project and it failed, and blah, blah. It's all their fault. That person will never learn anything. They will never grow. And guess what? In early stage business investing, which is really what we're doing in crypto, there are businesses that fail. In fact, the percentages are quite high of businesses that fail. Now, I like ones that have a lower chance than the chances are as low as possible that they fail, and I diversify across a bunch, so that minimizes my risk. But there's still projects I invest in that fail. Cool. That's just part of the territory. You are not going to be a good investor and not have some projects fail. And it's not somebody's fault who told you about the project. You're the one that pressed the buy button. You're the one that decided how much funds you're going to put into it, that you were going to buy it. And when you take full responsibility for that, when it goes bad and you identify, you know what, there's some things I didn't think about. You know, that team, when they did an AMA with so-and-so, you know, something seemed off with them, and I dismissed it, and probably I shouldn't have. I'm going to learn. Or, you know what, their narrative was the narrative that didn't quite make sense to me, but I bought it anyway, and you know what, ended up failing. Or I forgot to ask the question, you know, how much runway do they have? How much funds do they have? Can they survive until the next bull run? Had I asked that question, I would have realized that the answer might have been no. And that's why my investment went bad. It's nobody else's fault but mine. And when you take full ownership like that, you start on the path to becoming good at this. Because the only way to be part of that 5% is become good. Because if you make your money just because you're lucky, you will then turn around and lose it. Why? Because you'll roll it into a bunch of projects that you don't know what you're doing, and you will lose it then. So a lot of these people that got lucky and made hundreds of thousands of dollars, a few of them millions of dollars, almost none of them still have it. Why? Because they didn't take the time to learn to become good at this. They just got lucky.
Agreed. Gentlemen, everyone, it's been around an hour, so we will go to end it here. G-Money, what's going on? Jimenez, the survival of the fittest. We were living in front of the park. Wasn't physically strong, so I had to learn skills, social skills like negotiating and teamwork that have helped me through my life. Agreed. Bitcoin BMW, you think ICO, Ecomi had Bit4X? I was keeping it all off exchanges? Nah, not at all. Anyway, guys, that's it for us. Everyone, please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye to Dashi. Bye, Dashi.
Bye, Dashi.
Rain, see you in like 2 seconds. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.